Hey, welcome. I'm your host, Jasveer, back with another episode of Author to Author. Hope you all are doing great. Before I introduce my next guest, I want you to answer this. Who is that one author that comes to your mind when you think about murder mysteries? I can only think of one because as a kid growing up in the 80s India, I grew up watching Hercule Poirot. And I cannot think of anybody else but Agatha Christie as the epitome of murder mystery writing, at least for me at that time, with just Doordarshan at my disposal. More recently, I've enjoyed The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson and Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. The Rosabelle line by Ashwin Sanghi, to name a few, are some of my favorites. There are others too in the genre. But why am I talking about this genre? Because the guest today has specialized in writing brain-teasing murder mystery stories, and her books are available on Amazon Kindle. Her first book, The Sinister Silence, was an amazing thriller, followed by Who Killed the Murderer, The Murder in the Rain, and more recently she's come out with Inspector KP Singh trilogy, which is going to be converted into a web series very soon. Please put your hands together for the amazingly talented Moitrayee Bhaduri. Moitrayee, welcome.
Hi, Jasveer. Thank you for having me here.
Moitrayee, tell our listeners something about you, your love for murder mystery and thrillers. Who's your idol? Tell us about it.
So I started writing very early. I think in my childhood I used to just scribble in my diary, etc., and used to write poems for my school, college magazines, a lot of articles. But serious writing, as in writing novels, came much later. Because I worked in the corporate world in the IT industry for close to 15 years. So there also I juggled with different kinds of writing, content writing, technical writing, people management, etc. But I always wanted to, kind of get into full-time writing. And that's because, I grew up in Bengal, Kolkata. So my childhood was a lot about detective stories. So you have Satyajit Ray here, and his marvelous movies. And then we have characters he created, immortalized, like Feluda. Then we have Bomkesh Bakshi. So a lot of these around me. The Calcutta Book Fair was always an added attention to go there and buy detective novels. And like you mentioned, Agatha Christie, I mean, there's no denying, the queen of crime thrillers. So I definitely grew up reading a lot of Christie, Arthur Conan Doyle, and several others. Idol, I would say there isn't one. There are too many writers to choose from. But then, whenever I get a writer's block, I keep going back to Christie and Satyajit Ray and Sherlock Holmes. So these would be my go-to, I would say.
I think what you've described is kind of the 80s typical childhood, where in Doordarshan we would see a lot of Satyajit Ray movies, we would see a lot of Sherlock Holmes, the old one, of course, the original one, and Hercule Poirot, So yeah, those were the times when Doordarshan.
Yeah, I haven't seen
really
too much
good.
of. I haven't seen too much of Hercule Poirot or Marple movies because the books have always been, more attractive to me. But then, yes, there have been some great takes on Christie novels which have, come up as adaptation of movies. True, yeah.
Absolutely, the adaptations aside, be it serial or movies, books are kind of a gateway to imagination. Movies
Totally.
and serials do not leave any kind of imagination. You've got the person on the screen, but herein you can create your own person, and I think based upon a person's background, the imagination can go really vivid when it comes to books. So yeah,
Right.
that's absolutely right about that. So, Moitrayee, let's quickly start our discussion. What does writing mean to you? I mean, why do you write?
Okay, to put it simply, I write because it makes me happy. I feel very happy when I write. So whether I'm writing a mystery novel or a sad love story, anything, it is the joy of writing. And it's not just the end product. I enjoy the journey, the writing process. So yeah, I just love writing. I mean, I would like to quote one of my favorite authors, Paulo Coelho, who says, "I write to empty my mind and to fill my heart." So that's exactly why I write.
Touche to that. Writing sort of gives us so much back. It's not just something that we are sharing with the world. It's what we are actually getting back with each paragraph, with each story, with each book that you write. You're getting a lot as an author.
Right.
Writing gives us a lot.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
People who do not write probably will not understand that.
Yes.
The kick that you get
Yeah.
when you're actually writing.
In fact, that's why I encourage everyone to write. Like, even whether you're a professional writer or not, you should write. So sometimes when you are heavy in your heart, you're bottled up, and you don't know if you want to talk to anybody or express yourself, just put it on paper. So that really helps, even if that person is not a writer per se.
Yeah. Savi Sharma has rightly said that everyone has a story.
Yes. Yes.
And every story deserves to be told. No matter how short it is, it deserves to be told.
Totally.
That's what I keep telling people. Write, share. Otherwise, it remains a thought.
Yes. True. Very true.
So do you remember the first time you wrote something? What was it?
I don't exactly remember, because I remember, scribbling down a lot of things as a kid. So I had a lot of ideas, and I used to like telling stories, because my mom used to teach me in my childhood to make textbooks interesting. She would weave little stories and tell me. So I also picked that up. And I used to scribble down ideas in my diaries and notebooks, because I was worried that I have so many ideas. What if I forget them? How will I tell them to my world? So that's how I started writing, micro stories and poems. So I don't have a memory of the first thing that I wrote, but I know that began with a lot of diary scribblings and micro stories, maybe one para stories on something like a dog, or why is the bird flying, something as random as that.
I think that was the trend. Do you feel that sort of that is kind of a lost art, that art of maintaining a daily diary?
Yes, I think today it is probably lost, because we are so hooked to the digital age, and we do everything on our phone. But I think it helps if you maintain a journal, even if that is on your phone or on your laptop. If you are not a pen and paper person, like I'm a very pen and paper person, so I like maintaining my notes till date. I might be considered ancient by the teens of today, but I do that. You're right when you said it. It's kind of lost today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, you're right. If not a physical diary, maybe a digital journal. Yeah, it could be. We've got a notepad in the phone. We could note down everything. So yeah, that's a very good thing which parents need to inculcate in their kids these days. Maintaining a daily journal, if not a diary.
Absolutely. I mean, you can have something like an like I have a folder called ideas. So it's like an idea bank. So because now I have I'm delving into screenwriting also. So I'm working on a few screenwriting projects also. So it helps when you have an idea bank, whether it is for your books, whether it is for your scripts. You may have 36 or 300 ideas. Maybe only you'll use 5 of them finally, but it helps to have it in one place.
That's something very interesting, and one of the sessions that I was conducting, unfortunately, that is not my forte. So, for the listeners' understanding, how different is writing a book from writing, let's say, a movie or a series script? How would you differentiate between the both?
It's very different. Currently, I'm doing a little bit of it's work in progress. A few scripts I'm working on, but I've written for TV in the past. So I can tell you that it is different because, the book belongs to the author, to the writer. So whatever I have in my mind, I can pour my heart out. I can write what the character is thinking. Also, I can put in that. I can, give my literary best in a book. But when I'm writing for screen, it has to be very, very specific. First of all, you need to kind of exactly write what can be visualized, what you can see. You can write what you see. So I cannot say that, my character Moitrayee is thinking that today she has this podcast with Jasveer. I have to show how is she going to do that. So that way it's different. So it needs to be very specific, and a lot depends on how you describe. And again, a screenplay is finally not the author's, the writer cannot say that it's mine, because it's a collaborative effort. So it will go to, the director. There are so many other people, the production team who will work on it to enhance the screenplay, because they will know best how to show it on screen. They will be the enablers. So you are the one who has written it. But you can't own it. It will always be a collaborative effort. Whereas for the book,
team effort, right?
Yeah, it's a team effort. Whereas even a book to some extent is a team effort, because I'll send it to my publisher, the editor will edit it, but I will still have the final say what I want in the book.
Right.
So in the screenplay that may change, because there are other specialized people who will know what will look best for the screen.
Absolutely.
But having said that, writing forms the basic and most important part in both a book and a screenplay. If you don't have a script, if you don't have good content, then it doesn't matter whether you're writing a book or a screenplay.
Right. Also, do you agree that when it comes to writing for movies or writing for the screen, there are a lot of limitations. For example, there will be time limitation. Maybe there might be a content limitation because of which something will have to be left out. Is that so?
Yes. Because there are so many other issues like the budget, then people who will shoot, how they're going to go about it. It depends on a lot of things. So yes, there are a lot of restrictions. But it is all to help you get the best of the content you have, which you can show on screen, whether it is on the OTT platform or a movie or TV.
Right. Okay, so without giving out any spoilers, the scripts that you are writing, are they from your own stories, the books that you published, or it's a totally different story?
No, it's a different story. And the book that I've published, so the series has already been acquired, it has been optioned, the KB Singh series. And I'm in talks with a few other people also for my other books.
Congratulations. We hope to see your work on the screen very soon. Good luck with that.
Thank you so much.
Moitrayee, read one of your favorite lines from your story, or probably if you wish to read a short story for the listeners, please do that.
Okay, maybe I'll just give you a line, because if I start reading a short story, I don't know. So maybe I'll just go with the line. So there are quite a few, but with mystery novels, what happens is, like, for love stories, you can, give a line which becomes eternal. And for mystery books, I'm a little wary. I don't know whether, what you say and what gives out the climax. But there's one line from my book which I like, the first book, The Sinister Silence, in which I kind of introduced the fictional character, Detective Millie Ray, who went on to become quite popular. So there's one thing Millie says to her team, that crack the motive and you will get the murderer, which says that, no matter how much you kind of work on a case, and it's not that often we believe that, your gut feeling is very important and you will crack it. But unless you substantiate, what you have with facts, it doesn't happen. And more often than not, you get your facts right when you think about the motive that the killer or the criminal has. So crack the motive and you will get the murderer has kind of stuck with me.
Okay, crack the motive and you will get your murderer. So ladies
that's
and
from
gentlemen,
Millie Ray in Sinister Silence.
That's from Millie Ray, yeah. I was about to say that. Now that's a wonderful story. Everybody should read that if you're a mystery lover. Moitrayee, typically a murder mystery or let's say any mystery story involves a lot of, let's say, police procedures, because there is a lot of investigation involved. And then,
Right.
of course, there are a lot of court cases involved. So, do you have knowledge of the legal system and police investigative techniques?
I would say little bit. I cannot claim to have the knowledge of the whole legal procedures or police procedures. Though I love writing police procedures,
Okay.
but yes, I think I kind of keep my research pertaining to my book. So if I haven't written a courtroom drama yet, but if I do that, then definitely I would love to, learn more about the legal proceedings.
Okay.
For my books, for Moitrayee and KP Singh series, yes, I did need to do research on the police and related law enforcement agencies, which I did, and and I think that's very interesting. It's not very difficult to do that because today a lot of information is available on the web. And apart from that, I think the best way to go about your research if you're writing fiction is to talk to people in the service. So if you have access to police officers or detectives in real life, or people or lawyers, so that helps a lot. And so for me, what happened is I had just randomly gone to a police station. It was due to some passport verification or address verification. I had moved residence, and when I told them I'm writing a book, they were so happy to kind of help me with little things. So we really don't know how weird it is from where help can come.
Absolutely.
So I think that's very good. For writers, it is very important to interact with people, not just observe people, to interact with people, get to know their stories. So I think that helps.
True.
Of course, research is extremely important, where you refer to books, you refer to the web, you may maybe go to libraries. So there are different websites, where you get information on police, law enforcement agencies also. But interacting with people is at a different level, I think.
Mm-hmm. True. That is the part that I love about writing. Whenever we are creating a character, you're sort of creating the world around that character.
Yes.
And if that character is from, let's say, a real life world scenario, like a police officer or an army officer, you get to do a lot of research, and that's the part that I really love.
Yes.
So
Great.
if you have to look at the entire writing process, what is the most difficult part of your writing?
Difficult part of my writing, I would say, staying disciplined. Staying self-motivated, because writers tend to procrastinate a lot. I mean, and these days you have the internet, so you're writing something and you think you'll go and do some research on some particular topic, and then you're just gone. You open the browser and then 5 other windows, and then you forget. So that becomes difficult, and especially it's difficult if you're a full-time writer. Like after having worked for so many years, suddenly you give up your day job and turn into a full-time writer. It's very important to stay disciplined and self-motivated, and it's tough at times because writing is a lonely process. So unless you discipline yourself to write every day, it's tough. So I make it a practice, to sit in front of the laptop for whatever times I like my work hours. I'll have times when I sit with my pen and paper or with my laptop and give myself that daily time to write. It's not like I'll just wait for inspiration to strike one day, sipping coffee by the window. Wow, I'm like Shakespeare and some inspiration will come to me. It doesn't happen like that. So
Okay.
Maybe it happens like that. For me, it doesn't happen like that. So I stay disciplined. I will, bang my head against the laptop every day. And you have to write every day, because that is the most difficult, process, Jasveer. I feel that you have to stay disciplined. You have to stay true to your writing, and kind of honor it and sit in front of the desk every day. Whether you write 5 pages or 1 paragraph, doesn't matter.
No, absolutely. I agree. Writing may be to some extent a very scientific process, but then storytelling or the art of creating story, that's an art,
Yes.
and you cannot sort of bind it with the process, and what might work for you may not work for somebody else. What might work for me may not work for you or the third
Right.
person. So everybody has their own writing process. For me, and people are really surprised to know that I am not a very that lonely place, isolated writer types. I work best when I'm actually in public transport. So
Okay.
yeah,
Great.
and my mind works best over there. So like I said, what works for me may not work for somebody else.
Very
So
true. Yeah.
yeah, while writing absolutely needs to be disciplined, but storytelling is the ideas can come anytime.
Yes.
Actually, can
Yes.
come anytime, right?
And that's why it's important to, have a journal or something, maybe the draft
Absolutely.
folder in your mobile handy so that you can just write it down. Because sometimes we think, okay, I have it in mind. When I go home, I'll write. It
You
never
forget it.
happens. Yes, you forget it.
Especially with people like me, who've got really bad memory. I tend to forget a lot of things. So I've got reminders, I've got tasks in my phone, I've got a notepad in my phone, which is always filled with ideas. So that's my way
wonderful.
of doing. And guys, that's the best way of retaining your ideas. Even if you think that your idea is not part of this story, record it somewhere so that maybe that idea
Yes.
might be useful for the next story, maybe next story, maybe next story. But all ideas are useful, I think. That's a very good point, Moitrayee. Maintaining a journal is very important. So what comes to you first, the plot or the characters?
It's always the characters for me. Maybe one character in particular, the protagonist or the antagonist, depending on the story. So I like building stories around characters because it's all about characters to me. So when I have a character, I can give that character a plot. I can give that character, an intention, an obstacle, and see how it works for the character. I can give the character, blocks to their journey. So the character and what he or she wants to achieve.
Right.
To keep it simple, that's what I have in mind, and I kind of weave the plot around it.
Right. So you work inside out.
Yes.
Wonderful. And the titles are very important for a story, for any story, but then more so for mystery and thrillers. They're very important because people are actually attracted to sort of the titles when it comes to mystery and thriller stories. So how do you, what's your process like for coming up with the title for the book, for any book?
For any book, so I don't really have any particular process for that, but I keep a working title usually. So if I'm say writing a murder mystery, I might just write murder mystery, to just for reference. And once the book is completed, when you have a better knowledge about your ideas and the story that you have created, then I can work on the idea based on the title, based on the setting, the characters, and the theme. So from your story, the theme should come out, is what I feel. So I try to put my kind of titles around that, base them around the theme and what the character is trying to say. But yes, as you rightly said, it has to be catchy. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I can't just write a murder mystery as the title. Maybe somebody like Agatha Christie, if she writes a title like that, then also it will sell. But for new people, So things like, the title of the book cover, like even though we say do not choose a book by the cover, but cover plays a huge role today. So your cover needs to be attractive, your title needs to be appealing. So these things make people pick up a book if you are comparatively new, especially.
Okay. Fantastic. So Inspector KB Singh, let's talk about the character. Is he inspired from a real life inspector, or he's completely fictional?
KB Singh is completely fictional. I mean, Inspector KB Singh, the character is completely fictional, but the stories, the KB Singh's stories, they are inspired, from real events. So maybe I've clubbed 2-3 events together. From that, they have been inspired. But each of the stories, there are 10 stories in the KB Singh series. 9 are out. 1 will be out this month. So each of them is kind of inspired from real life crimes that we see around us all the time.
Okay. And the information for these real life crimes are, the sources, media, internet, or
Yes, media, newspapers, internet, talking to people, all of it combined.
I think that's a very clever way of finding your stories. Find stories in the real life incidents, real life situations. I think that's a very clever way of working for an author. Makes the life a lot easier if you're using inspiration from real life, rather than creating a fictionalized world completely. I think that's a very good idea.
Yes, I mean, because every story I feel has to be it's good if it's a combination, because if you're, some part of it is inspired by real life, then people find it relatable. Again, you can't make it completely real life, because then it's not fiction. So that way, that's where your imagination and how you weave the plot and the characterizations comes into effect.
Right. And a very pertinent question that I ask every author during the interview: if your book were made into a movie, which actors would play your characters? Let's talk about KB Singh.
KB Singh, yeah. Since KB Singh has already been, adapted for screen, I'm really looking forward. I don't know. KB Singh is very young. KB Singh is is 27 years old actually. I would like somebody like Aditya Roy Kapoor or maybe Siddharth Malhotra to play the lead role, because KP Singh is a very handsome guy. He has people falling for him. He's the typical angry young man who's very good looking. So I think these guys would suit him. Unless of course there's some other people. For my Millie Ray series again, I think somebody like Priyanka Chopra or Taapsee Pannu. Or in Bengal, we have Mimi Chakraborty, a very powerful actress. So a powerhouse performer, I think, would be great.
Right. Okay. So you've got characters in mind, and like you said, that KP Singh series is already has been adapted into a web series. So we should be.
No, it has been acquired for screen. So
it has been acquired.
It will be, it will be adapted into a web series. Not yet. It has been acquired. Yeah.
Okay. And what do you see the future for your characters? Are you coming up with your 11th book, or the 10th story is going to be the final one in the KP Singh series?
No, so the first 10 is like a season 1, so there will be a next 10.
Okay, yeah. So it's like season, so we should be saying more, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And what is it that you need in your writing space? Are there any specific things that you require in your writing space, or you can write, let's say, in a just room, that's it?
Yeah, I can write anywhere, but I definitely need what should I say, I cannot write in a very noisy place. So some people are very comfortable writing in cafes. So if I go to a cafe, I can maybe write a blog post. I can write a short story which I don't plan to publish anywhere. But if I'm writing something very, plot character driven, for that I need that quiet place inside a house, in that way.
Right.
So not typical things. I can write
not typical things,
pen or paper, but I need the quiet. Yeah.
Just a simple requirement.
Yes.
One of the elementary requirements.
And no internet. I think there shouldn't be any internet, at least when I'm writing the first draft, because it's very distracting.
Okay, great. What do you like to do when you're not writing?
Okay, I love reading. I mean, I really love reading a lot. I like singing. I like watching movies. Cricket. I'm very fond of watching cricket. Catching up with friends, of course. And I'm very fond of word games, crossword puzzles. So I like solving them when I'm not writing.
Okay. And you said that you are fond of reading. So who are the authors that inspire you? Author Moitrayee. Who do you read, most often? Who's your favorite author or authors?
Long list, but I know I love writing crime thrillers, but Paulo Coelho has been my favorite ever since I can remember. So The Alchemist remains my most favorite book, kind of a life-changing book till date. Apart from that, there's Christie, of course, I mentioned, Charles Dickens. I'm fond of Franz Kafka's writing, Pearl S. Buck, J.K. Rowling. And in India, we have so many authors to choose from, like right from Amitabh Ghosh to Jhumpa Lahiri, and Kiran Desai, Anita Desai. I like reading them a lot. Rohinton Mistry, I think now he's based in Canada, so I am very fond of Rohinton Mistry books too. So, I mean, the list is endless. And of course, if I come to Bengal, I mean, I've just given you a list of English authors. So, Bengal, again, there are lots, starting from Tagore himself. The list is endless.
True. Somehow, when it comes to literature, and even in education also, we have a lot of emphasis in India on English literature, but there are Bengali authors, there are authors in South, Hindi authors. India is a land of languages, multiple languages, and we've got a rich history of heritage of literature in India. So we know that you're working on the script for the KB Singh series, and you're also working on the 10th story for the series. So tell us about anything else that you're working for your future projects.
So I definitely have Millie Ray's next murder mystery lined up, which is first draft is kind of halfway done. And there's a non-fiction book about a serial killer, which I've already written. And it was represented also by my literary agent. So Rupa will be publishing it. Hopefully it should be out next, later this year. So that is the one I'm looking forward to.
So all in all, the focus will still remain on mystery, murder mystery.
Yes, as of now. Yeah.
Wonderful. And finally, Moitrayee, what is the message that you wish to give to the young and aspiring authors, who are willing to explore new dimensions of creative writing?
Okay, I would definitely say write daily, and of course, there's no end to imagination. So if you're creative and if you like imagining, then definitely write daily, read a lot. And the most important things which the pandemic has taught us, that smile, laugh, eat well, sleep well, interact with people, because so many people, I see young people getting depressed these days, so it's very important that you interact with people, you smile, you laugh a lot. And if you have a dream, then of course you must have the courage to follow it and see it through fruition. So do write daily and read a lot. That would be my message.
No, that's a sound advice, because if you're not happy inside or outside, that affects your writing, and that probably affects your discipline as well. That affects your brain. So it's going to affect the brain's power to generate ideas, maybe negatively. So yeah, if you're happy,
yes,
you will have better productivity in terms of a writer. Absolutely. Right. Thank you so much, Moitrayee. That was a really amazing conversation that we had. I'm sure the listeners also enjoyed it. Thank you so much for taking time out. It was lovely interacting with you.
Thanks a lot, Jasveer. It was wonderful interacting with you too. And I wish you all the very best. It was indeed a pleasure speaking to you.
So guys, that was Author to Author with Moitrayee Bhaduri. Thank you so much for taking time out to listen to us. I am sure she's going to be a name to reckon with when it comes to crime thriller genre. And you can follow her work on Amazon Kindle, and be sure to check out her upcoming web series as well. That's it for this episode. I will get back to you soon with the next episode of Author to Author. Till that time, take care and have a good day.